Hi Stampers, it's Rachel here from rachthestamper.wordpress.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make a really cute card, and we're going to be using a sentiment from the retiring six-sided sampler set. That is really a tongue twister. And we're going to use the reeds from the also retiring Wetlands stamp set. And the card that we're going to make, I actually did a demo card here for you. I used the Celebration set Flowering Field, so if you have that, you could feel free to use any of these. I just kind of wanted something that was very simple, so it really wouldn't detract from the card, because it is a very a tone-one-tone card, but it has, I think, a lot of impact. So I used this. So if you have this stamp set, you could use any of these as well, but I wanted to give an alternate version in case someone didn't have that, since it was from Celebration, which ended March 31st. So what we're going to do, this one was actually Elegant Eggplant and Lost Lagoon, which is also in the 2014-2016 Retiring in Color collection. So I decided to do another one with the current in colors, which are the 2015-2017 in colors. So what I did is, I already pre-cut all this, so I'm just going to show you what we did. I started off with a base of Mint Macaron, and this is a standard card, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I used Tip Top Taupe and Watermelon Wonder. Those are my other colors that I used on this card instead. So what I did was I essentially cut all of these a 1/4 inch smaller. So if your base card is your standard card size, so this first piece is 5 1/4 by 4. This is 5 by 3 3/4. 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. 4 1/2 by 3 1/4. And then for this one I used Whisper White instead of Very Vanilla. And this is, oh my gosh, I just lost that. 5 1/4, 5, 4, 3 1/2 by 3. Let me just double check that. Hold on, get out my ruler here. 3 by 3 3/4. Is that right? 3 by 4. 3 by 4. Okay, so these are all basically, you're just going down a 1/4 inch on each one. So what I originally intended to do, and this one I didn't adhere to a base card yet, I just made the front of it. What I originally intended to do was I was going to make them so they were all centered, like kind of like picture frames, which you could still do it this way. So I just, you would hear them all one on top of the other. But then I kind of got the idea, if I centered them up towards the top, it would leave me a little bit of space to put a pretty cool greeting in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the same way I did this one. So I didn't really put my adhesive all the way to the edges, and I just kind of eyeball these, but I'm going to off-center it up a little higher, so you're going to notice there's much more of a gap down at the bottom, but we're kind of going to hide it. And again, if you don't want to do it this way, you can do it the other way, so it does look like, I guess, stacking picture frames is the best way to describe it. So once again, this one go up a little bit. And I thought this was a really simple but versatile card that you could use really for almost any occasion. Now I'm not going to adhere this last one, we're going to stamp this first. So what I did is I'm going to use the reeds from the Wetland stamp set, and I'm going to do this kind of how I did this one. So I stamped it in the complementary color. So we're going to use Tip Top Taupe, and we're going to just stamp some of the reeds across. And again, you don't really want this to be fancy. If you want to stamp one up higher than the other, or, oh, that's not good. Hold on. That is a very, very juicy ink pad. Let me try that again. Let's make sure this isn't dirty. Give me 1 second. I'm going to get my paper piercing mat here, which is really good for stamping. All right, let me be a little bit lighter, and I'm going to just test this just to be sure. That's better. Okay. With those new juicy pads, sometimes they can get a little crazy. So we'll do one up, one down. So that is what our image looks like. And then what we're going to do, let me move this out of the way, is we're going to just adhere this to our card as well. Again, a little bit centered more so on the top. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add in a little bit of something. So I use the clear, this was the glitter tape from Celebration for the first one. I'm not going to use that for the second one. So what I'm going to do instead, and I probably should have done this before I adhered this. Let's see if I can get this off. Yep, still a little bit loose enough because I stuck the tape to this probably. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to tie some of the linen thread around the bottom of the card, or I should say the piece we just stamped. So I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive right on the bottom here. What the heck is that? Piece of green. I'm going to put this right on here. Let's see how that looks in the front. That's cute. Kind of sticks with that beachy sort of theme. And you could certainly switch out the colors of this to anything that you'd like. It doesn't have to be as neutral. I just decided to go with something different than the purple and Lost Lagoon. I don't know what color we would call that. So instead, I'm going to put this one with dimensionals. So what's happened when you, well, I only made that one card and decided that this was going to be what I decided to make. So stamping on the fly. Okay, so now instead we're going to attach this with dimensionals. And oops, let me make sure this is not sticking tight. Hang on one second. I just want to make sure because I don't want this flipping off in the middle. I'm just going to push it down a little bit. Okay. So now we're going to put this back down. Let me just fold that piece over. And there you go. Kind of gives a little something as well. And now what we're going to do, I don't know if anyone has ever heard of this technique before, and I really never had. Tammy White, I had seen this when she did a belt for a Santa Claus. That what you're going to do is you take your bone folder and you're kind of making a suede piece is what she called it. So you're just going to run your paper over your bone folder in both directions and make sure you get all the way to the tips. And you can see with this one, it really actually loosened up pretty quickly. So I must be a little heavier handed. But it's some of the paper you do have to do a little bit more, but you want to make sure you get the ends because you want to get a piece where you can actually split it apart. And what we're making is just a different type of cardstock because we're going to, make sure you can see this here, we're going to pull this apart. So now you have like a soft suede and a totally different texture of cardstock that we're going to layer with. So I thought this would be really pretty because I got the mint macaron. Is that mint macaron? Yes, the mint macaron was going to be the base for this, and that way this would kind of play to that. So the only other thing I'm going to do first is I'm going to stamp our sentiment, which I'm using the My Friend on this one instead of the other one I used. It's a little too wet again. Let me try. And this really, we're not going to have a huge piece for this, so that looks good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of just trim this up just a little bit, not a whole lot. And I'm going to do the same thing. So what I did when I started with this one is I just kind of went to the end of where the words were. And this one we're really just curling. We're not completely pulling apart. We just want to fray the ends a little bit. But the reason I say I didn't do the words is because I wanted to trim this up slightly to see how I liked it. Okay. So what I did with the other one is I'm going to trim a little bit of this off because it's a little long. And then we'll just recurl a little bit. This one we're going to leave intact, but just to give it a little something. And I'm going to just trim a little bit down to the words. And just the same on this one. Okay. And then kind of what I did is I just eyeballed it of where I wanted it to go. So we'll give it about a 1/2 inch on each side. Okay, and then again, I'm going to just go over this with one whole purl piece just to get it so it goes up and then down, because I don't really want it necessarily sticking up, but just to give it a little bit of something. So then what we're going to do is I'm going to just put some snail onto this, Put this in the center. I think it's about the center. And then I'm going to pop this up still in dimensionals, even though I know that card piece is on dimensionals, just because it kind of brings this layer to the front of your card. And you can even go as far as if you wanted to split the pieces of this, just for a little different look. So those two pieces were coming apart, but not really pull them apart, so to speak. Here you go. Sorry, I tend to make these videos always longer than I think they are, because I think to myself, if I'm going to suggest something to do, I should at least give you the courtesy of showing you what it is that I'm doing. Alright, so we're just going to pull this off of here. And then we'll just put that right on there as well. So it kind of gives that little curly layer. And then all the thing we have to do is just adhere this to the base. And again, you can either do this, you know, if you wanted to continue with up, but I think I'm going to center this one down. So it is a lot of layers of card, but honestly, once you get all the cutting done, if you decide on your image, if you don't like this image, you could certainly use any of the other images. If you have the flowering field set, that there's a lot of really great things here that are very simple, you know, as you can see for this. You could also use this with the Butterfly Basics. There's a very simple flower. And I'm sure there's many others. I just can't seem to think of any right now. But anyway, you can get all these supplies and more in my online store. However, they are selling out of a lot of stuff on the Stampin' Up! Website that is on the retirement list. The stamp sets will still be made. I believe it is through May 3rd. I'm pretty sure they will still actually continue making them. But all the rest of the things, the accessories, they're all first come, first serve. They're gone when they're gone. There's something that I really wanted to get, which was Crystal Effects, and I wanted to get some more of those little envelopes, and they are completely gone. So you can't buy them any longer. That's it. So I hope you will get to my online store. If there's something that you like, get it before it's gone. If you have any comments, you can reach me at rachthestamper.wordpress.com. You can always shoot me an email at rachthestamper@gmail.com. And again, if you want to get all this in my online store, it's rachthestamper.stampinup.net. Hope you have a beautiful day. Thanks for watching.